Hello, everyone. I am Rabina Rastaban, aka the Realist Astrologer, and this is the Mystic Media channel. So, today I'm going to talk about the Dark-sided Pisces Male. And before I get into the Dark-sided Pisces Male, I'm going to give you a perfect example of a dark-sided Pisces Male, but in the fictional sense. So, in the world of film, there's a movie called The Color Purple, and I'm sure many of you have already seen this movie probably many times. So, the character that Danny Glover plays, Mr., he is the epitome of a dark sided Pisces male. So, just keep him in mind when I go through this list. But basically, just give you a brief rundown. Mr. was this very abusive character. He basically married Celie in an arranged marriage against her will, and he kind of kept her imprisoned. And Pisces is the sign of imprisonment, so that definitely speaks about the dark side of Pisces male in that Mr. character in the color purple. Basically, Celie felt isolated. She felt like she was in bondage, and she was very confused about who she was as a result of dealing with Mr. So that is so Pisces. So getting into it, first off the bat, Pisces, dark side of Pisces males can be liars. They will lie to get themselves out of trouble. They will lie to make their life seem more appealing than what it actually is. They will lie about their abilities. Basically, the Pisces male will lie about anything. And that's because Pisces deals with lies and deception. So they could be sneaky, also sneaky as hell. Um, just doing things behind your back. Um, they're really popular for getting into secret relationships behind your back. They're big time cheaters. Um, but they're so good at hiding stuff that you may not know for years. They could be very shisty individuals. Shisty meaning that um, they'll do things behind your back where, you'll end up on the losing end or you'll end up losing out. They can be snitches, so you really can't trust them with sensitive information. They could just be really shady characters all around. Um, they could be big time thieves because Pisces is the sign of thievery. So you really can't trust them around your valuables. Again, I'm talking about the dark side of Pisces male. They lack boundaries, and that goes hand in hand with being a thief, not respecting people's personal property. The dark side of Pisces male, if you live with him or if he comes over to your house a lot, you'll find him using up all of your personal products. Um, he'll just lack boundaries and not know that, or appear not to know that, certain things are yours and that he needs to ask for permission before using them. What goes along with that is that they could be leeches, moochers, and freeloaders. So a lot of times the Pisces male feels like the dark side of Pisces male feels like he doesn't have to come out of his pocket when the two of you go out. He might always be trying to borrow money from you, again using up all of your things and not replenishing them. Another dark-sided Pisces male trait is that they can be escape artists. So they can often be missing in action. You don't know where they are. Because a lot of times Pisces has a need to go off and escape and just be by themselves. So, but with the dark-sided Pisces male, when he is in that escape mode, then a lot of times he's doing something wrong or devious or getting into some type of trouble. They're prone to escapism, and through that escapism often comes drug addiction and alcoholism. So there's a lot of dark sided Pisces males who are drug addicts and alcoholics. And Pisces is, in general, a very peaceful sign, but it's often through their drug binges or, being drunk that they become violent. So you have to watch out for that. Another dark-sided Pisces male trait is that they can be irresponsible, unreliable, and they can pass the buck. So when it comes to responsibilities and basically pulling their weight, they're severely lacking in that area, and oftentimes you'll be left holding the bag. Um, they can be secretive. I mentioned already deceptive. They can give off an illusion that they're better than what they, appear to be. With the dark side of Pisces male, there's a lot hidden under the surface that once you get close to them and deal with them on a day-to-day basis, a lot of that will start to be revealed. Another thing is they could be whiny crybabies, just like Cancer and Virgo. When things don't go their way, they'll pout. They'll, have a pity party for themselves. They are professional victims. So, they're somebody's always out to get them, or things aren't always fair. They're always blaming the system, or they're blaming other people. They're always like, why me? They never take responsibility for their actions or their behavior. They could be messy, sloppy, like some of the other signs I already mentioned. So with Pisces, you can either have two types. So you can have the sloppy, just messy type of Pisces that's just very disorganized, very disheveled. Or you can have the type of Pisces that's very neat and insanely perfectionistic, where everything has to be in, order. Everything has to, be according to their standards, and they are very unreasonable when it comes to, you know, allowing themselves to let go and have things a different type of way. So you have those two types, the really messy slob type of Pisces, but then you also have that clean freak that's kind of like Virgo, because one side of Pisces can be very perfectionistic and very idealistic. They can be mama's boys because they have a very hypersensitive nature and they need a soft place to fall, just like the dark side of Virgo male. So if they do have a good relationship with their mothers, they might be spending a lot of time at their mother's house. They might always run and go to their mother when things go wrong. And they just might, want their mate to mother them. The dark side of Pisces male, he can be very creative. He has a natural artistic streak, but when he's dark sided, he'll take it too far and it will control his whole life. So, and he'll be unreasonable in terms of his artistic expression. So, he is the epitome of the what do you call it? The starving artist, but the starving artist at his own choice, because he'll be unreasonable when it comes to putting his artwork out in the public. If someone criticizes his work, instead of considering that criticism and trying to maybe change to fit what the public wants, instead they'll just shut down and say, nobody understands me and nobody understands my art, and instead they'll just keep their artwork and their creativity to themselves. They can be their own sinking ship. So think about Pisces and the sea. So yeah, when it comes to their art, the dark side of Pisces male, he might be really talented, but he has a hard time putting his talent out there into the world and making that contribution, because he's so wrapped up into his idea of what is perfect. Let's see. So again, I mentioned him being too idealistic. The dark side of Pisces male tends to live in a fantasy world. A lot of times he believes that he's a superhero. So he might, talk about how he has these superhuman powers, especially when it comes to the psychic level. He might claim that, he knows certain things and he can read certain people, but a lot of times he just might be full of shit. Um, Another dark side of Pisces trait is he could be very preachy and high and mighty despite his obvious flaws. So that could be very annoying because you could see right through his game, but he's trying to act like, he is the authority, especially in terms of spirituality and morals. The dark side of Pisces male can be lazy, unmotivated, and he can take others for granted. So anybody in his life that's really, helping him or being of support, he will take those people for granted and he will continue to take and take and take. So that goes back to that whole moocher personality. So again, going back to the two different type of Pisces, you can have one type of dark side of Pisces male that is henpecked, and he's happy to be henpecked because he refuses to take a leadership role. So he will allow his mate or his wife to, berate him and belittle him and keep him in kind of like a little prison. And he'll be content with that because, again, he doesn't like taking the lead. On the flip side, you might have the dark-sided Pisces male who is, again, perfectionistic, impossibly unreasonable, very hard to please. So basically, when you're with him, if things aren't perfect, he basically checks out and then he goes into that escapist mode. And he can be very hypercritical, just like Virgo, when things aren't perfect or to his standards. Another dark sided Pisces trait is that they can always be sick or dealing with some type of illness. And they can be hypochondriacs, just like the dark sided Virgo. So something is always wrong with them. And a lot of times it's because that negative energy that they're harboring, they're so sensitive that it'll start to, affect their health. So any dark sided Pisces male, a lot of times is going to have health issues and serious health issues at that, where he may spend time in the hospital. The dark sided Pisces male, if he's a criminal, you'll often find him spending lengthy periods in jail or in some type of, if he has mental illness, he'll spend a lot, significant time in a psychiatric hospital or under treatment. So you may constantly have to deal with that. You may end up being an enabler because Pisces are really good at attracting enablers and getting people to feel sorry for them and to take pity upon them until you get to a point where it's like you've had enough because you see that they just continue to take advantage of your kindness and they take you for granted. The dark side of Pisces male is too emotional. Again, I mentioned too hypersensitive, sensitive. Um, Takes everything personally. They can be very fearful. Men have phobias and serious hang-ups where it prevents them from actually fulfilling their potential. The dark side of Pisces male can be haunted, and I mean in the most literal sense. The dark side of Pisces male can be haunted by spirits. So a lot of times what may appear to be mental illness or schizophrenia is actually an invasion of unwanted spirits that he's dealing with. So there might be a lot of paranormal activity that occurs when you're around the dark side of Pisces male. So just keep that in mind. And they have a tendency to attract negative spiritual entities because they're very vulnerable naturally. They are naturally wide open. And when I say wide open, like their aura, or, it goes back to a lack of boundaries. Their aura is very permeable. It's very porous. So they can easily attract any type of spiritual entities, but the dark-sided Pisces male will attract those negative entities easier. Um, in terms of sex, they can be good lovers, like because they get into that whole fantasy mode and they're perfectionistic, like Virgos. But also on the flip side, they can have little weird fetishes. Um, the dark side of Pisces male is the epitome of the foot fetish type of dude. He can also be a peeping Tom. He's also the epitome of the guy that looks up women's skirts. So, yeah, like the weirdo type of pervert dude, but usually on a passive end. Rarely do you find a strong Pisces male being a rapist unless it's the type of rape where it's acquaintance rape and it's where the woman is drunk or out of it and or he drugs her and then he takes advantage of her that way. But rarely is the Pisces male the violent type of rapist. The dark side of Pisces male, usually they'll, like I said, they're shiesty and they're sneaky. So usually they'll try to gain your confidence or they'll take advantage of you when you're at your weakest. They're also the type that will like steal your panties and like hoard them and like so they can sniff them later and like do nasty things with them. Also, the dark side of Pisces male in terms of sexuality, they could be big time masturbators and have a big time addiction to porn. So you might catch the dark side of Pisces male always looking at porn on the internet. They're the type of guy that might be looking at porn while they're at work. So little stuff like that. Um, big time masturbators, like I said. So again, it goes back to that perfectionism. They sometimes a real woman is too not perfect enough. So that's why they gravitate towards porn and masturbation. And the dark side of Pisces male is prone to not being able to be stimulated by a real woman because they have this, idea of this ideal of what a woman should look like, what she should, act like. A lot of times in bed, they want the woman to be very, again, with the dual-sided Pisces, you'll either have the type that wants the woman to be very submissive, or you have the type of dark-sided male, Pisces male, that likes to be either cuckold, meaning he likes to see his woman have sex with other men, or he likes to be subdued in bed, so he likes to take a very submissive role, and he might become very effeminate in bed as well, because Pisces they're very, it's a very feminine sign, and they're very in touch with their femininity. So, but that's basically it. Oh my God, I just noticed that this is the longest video I've done so far on the dark-sided zodiac signs. And it makes sense because Pisces, again, has a tendency to lack boundaries, and they have a tendency to take things too far. So let me wrap things up. I feel like I missed something with Pisces, but if you feel that I missed something, did I mention that they could be delusional, live in a fantasy world? I think I did. But if you find that I missed something, please comment at the bottom. Please like this video if you like it, and please subscribe. As you can see, I don't have a lot of subscribers, and that's my fault because I can be very flighty. I have Mars and Gemini. I start things and then I don't finish them. I get distracted. But I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to beef up my videos and, beef up my presence on YouTube. So please, be patient with me, and again, please subscribe because I need subscribers. But that's my take on the dark side of Pisces male. Stay tuned for the dark side of Aquarian male. That's going to be really interesting. Them damn Aquarians, that's what I call them. But yeah. So peace and blessings. I'm going to leave my website at the bottom in case you would like a reading. So take care. Bye-bye.